Okay, so I think today is the day that I want to tell my story. Okay, so where do I begin? Okay, y'all better get y'all wine, get you some damn tequila, get your Hennessy, whatever, cause this story that I'm about to tell y'all, okay, and I gotta do it in parts. So y'all better follow me because it's going down. Okay, let me tell you. So I will take it back a little bit before I met him, okay? And what we're gonna call him, we're just gonna call him Dum Dum. I gave him that name when we broke up, and it just kind of stuck. So, so before I met him, I was actually a serial entrepreneur, right? Not in like a heavy sense. I wasn't like a millionaire or nothing like that, but I've always like had a business going or some sort of like income coming in, of course. Like I work in surgery, my day job, I've been a surgical tech for 17 years now, but I've always had like a side business, a side hustle, whatever you want to call it. And my latest business was a spa. And I love my spa. I built it, from the ground up. I did all my marketing, everything. It was all hands on by me while also being a full time mom and working full time, working like 3 or 4 12-hour shifts in a week. So living in Phoenix, I was having a great time. I had friends. We would travel. We would take big trips. We would like rent out mansions. We would do it big out there, right? Had a great time. And for whatever reason, Phoenix just was not giving for me. Like I wanted something else. I didn't know where to move. I didn't know where I should go. And something told me Dallas, right? And so my brother and my sister-in-law, they're no longer together, but I always call her my sister-in-law. She's gonna be my sister-in-law forever. I don't care what, because she's like my best friend. But it was like midnight, and I just went in there. I was like, "Hey, let's go to Dallas," and she was like, "Girl, go to sleep." I was like, "No, let's go to Dallas. Let's just go." Like, because it was so normal for me and my friends to just get up and go and travel. We were like, "Okay, let's go." So literally the next day we booked our trips. It was 4 of us all had went, and when we get there, we had a great time. But so we all get out to Dallas. We're all having a great time. It's me and my 3 other friends. We're having a ball. It's a girls trip. We at all the little hookah lounges and all the clubs or whatever, just enjoying ourselves. And my sister-in-law, for some whatever reason, said, "Hey, I want to go visit my cousin." And I'm like, "Girl, it's a girls trip." But she was like, "I haven't seen my cousin in forever. Like, let's just go over there real quick. It's gonna be real quick." So we all was like, "Okay, whatever." So we all get over to her cousin's house, and her cousin is very important in the story. We're gonna call him Ricardo. So Ricardo comes out and he's like greeting everybody and whatever. And so, I don't smoke. So they went outside to go do the herbal essence thing. And I sat in the kitchen alone. I'm in a house. I don't know this house. I've never been in this house before, but I'm sitting in the kitchen alone. And here comes Dum Dum down the stairs. And he just looks at me and was like, "Oh, I didn't know we were having company." And I'm like, well, hello to you too, right? So I pay it no mind. He walk outside with everybody else. I'm literally just sitting in this kitchen at the dinner table by myself. And eventually everybody came back in. They were like, "Okay, well, we about to go grab something to eat or whatever." And I'm like, "Cool." Because I'm hungry. Okay. I was getting hangry. So we all get in the car, we all load up, we go take different cars, and we go to this wing place. So while we're at this wing place, it was kind of weird how like we were sitting, like we were trying to, everybody kind of knew that I had a crush on the friend, on Dum Dum. And so they all kind of like sitting away, so I would have to sit next to him. And at first, like, I was so hungry, I was not looking, I was not paying attention. And at this time in my mind, I'm so focused on my business and like just like growing as an entrepreneur. I did not think about a relationship. I was not thinking about a man. Like, that's just not where my head was. But it was something about him that just like, he made me laugh and like, you know, just like, oh, he seemed cool, whatever. And, you know, everybody kind of saw my glow and it was like, oh, look at Laura. And, you know, at first it was really nothing but love. It was nothing but love. Like, when I got, so the very next day was my flight home. And he texted me and he was like, hey, just making sure you made it. And I text back like, yeah, I just got here. And he like texts right back. And I remember saying like, oh, wow, like he texts back quick. Like, you know, I'm not really used to that because I wasn't really dating at the time. So a man like texting back real fast and like all of that, it wasn't normal to me. So like I was saying, I get back to Phoenix. I'm like going back into, you know, spa mode, work mode, mom mode, all of that. And for whatever reason, he would just hit me up like every single day, all day. And it felt kind of good. I ain't gonna lie. It was really actually nice and refreshing that someone like took the time out to think about me first. And I was like actually really intrigued. So it was a point where we would just talk all day. And he's like, look, I want to come out there and see you to Phoenix. So I was like, okay, like that's fine. He was like, here's my credit card information. Put all my information in, book my flight for me. And, you know, I want to come spend the week with you. Okay, cool. So basically, our first date lasted 1 week because he flew out the very next week of us meeting. And when I say it was an amazing time, we had a great time. I really felt like this was God. Like, I did that prayer that, you know, I forgot her name. She did this prayer and everybody was like, oh, you gotta do the prayer, you know? And I was just like, I prayed to God. I said, God, please bring me a man. So I really thought that he was from God. But no, you gotta realize when you say your prayers, sometimes you gotta say it quietly because the devil can hear you. And so sometimes you think it's God is answering your prayers, but really it's the devil giving you your prayers and like wrapped into crap. So we ended up dating and it was great. Like we'll go back and forth, you know, I would come out here to Dallas or he would fly out to Phoenix. And it came to a point where we're like, hey, you know, how long are we going to do this for? And I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything until, you know, it's some real commitment going on. And I mean, when I say he took that and ran with that, it took 3 months for him to propose. And at first I was like, whoa. For somebody who did not believe in marriage, who did not want to get married, I was never the type to want to get married. I don't know what it was. It just never like was something that I wanted to do. But now he's like down on one knee. He's got all my family and my friends there. Like my best friend flew out from Chicago all the way to Phoenix. It was a big thing. It was a huge thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like this man really want to marry me. Okay, so yes. And at that time, everything was perfect. Like he would give me the world. But later finding out that that's just nothing but love bombing. It was nothing but love bombing. But at the time, you're so wrapped up into that, like, oh my God, I found the one. He's the one, like he's loving me. And I never got love like this before. Blah, blah, blah. Crap. Don't fall for it. Don't fall. So he proposed in February, and by April, I had already closed my spa down. I'm already packed up all my stuff and was moving out here to Dallas. Me and my daughter, at the time she was 10, and we was on our way to Dallas. So when I met him, he was living with Ricardo. Ricardo was staying at the bottom floor, and he was staying upstairs in this townhouse. And so when I moved out to Dallas, it's like we all got a house together, and it was a pretty nice sized house. But seemed like him and Ricardo could not like separate. I didn't understand that dynamic of friendship, but I'm like, whatever. I'm just getting to really know this guy, but I'm taking a leap of faith. Everybody kept saying, just take the leap of faith. Just take the leap of faith. And then you gonna hear. So I was just like, okay, I'm taking this leap of faith. And on one side of the house, it's me, him, and my daughter's room. And on the other side is Ricardo's and his new wife, which Ricardo's like in his 40s, and his new wife was like early 20s, like 21, 22-year-old girl. Like, she only spoke Spanish, so me and her really did not like communicate. If we did, it would be like through Google Translate, because I didn't understand what she was saying, and she definitely didn't know what I was saying. I'll have to do like hand gestures and stuff. It was really weird. So basically, we all staying in this one nice ass house. Like I said, it was a nice ass house. So it didn't seem like it was too cramped. So it was okay. Like, we were actually enjoying ourselves. Like, we would go on trips and just do, like, what engaged people would do. I don't know. I don't know. Like, we were in love, My daughter was enjoying herself. And, I'm exploring Dallas a little bit more. It was just an experience. And then the planning of the wedding started, and that was just so stressful. It was the most stressful thing that I ever had to do. And I had a good time doing it. At that point in the relationship, I was just in bliss. I was just so in love. Like, oh, he couldn't do any wrong. The way I would look at him is like I would be looking at a star. Like, I'm just looking at sunshine or whatever. And, the turning point was when I told him, I said, hey, well, you want to wait to get married? Like, let's just wait. Let's wait for a year, because he was pushing it so much, in which I didn't understand. And I'm like, well, we could just do it next year. And he's like, no, we got to get this done. Let's just get this out the way. And I'm just like, okay, like being dumb. So in the midst of me just moving to Dallas, just starting my job, planning a wedding, he wanted to start the process of building a house, which I'm like, okay, is that something I could take on mentally right now? I guess so. We start this process of building a house. And the house, I picked out everything. It's one of those, you go and you pick out the door, you pick out the flooring, you pick out the carpet, you pick everything that is in the house. I chose. He had to work, so I went and had the appointment with the people by myself, and my stepdaughter actually. So we go there, and I want this, I want that, I want this. And it was such an exhilarating feeling because I never thought that I would ever buy a house. I never thought that I could afford to buy a house, but I was there doing it. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. So unfortunately, we were part of the people who were building houses and they were having like this material shortage due to COVID. So it literally took our house. Normally, it would take a house maybe a few months to get built. It took us a whole year and almost a year and a half to get built. So at this time, I'm in love. Like, that's just what it is. I'm in love. You can't tell me nothing about you can't tell me nothing. We had the wedding. Wedding was amazing. We had a great honeymoon. We went to St. Croix. You couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I don't hear it. Houses get done. We just got married. I'm living a dream. Like, I'm happy. I'm traveling to places I've never been. Like, I'm just in love, right? But that's when things got a little interesting. So he rode motorcycles. Him and his friend rode motorcycles. So I would get cool with his friends' wives. And we would all hang out or whatever. And I actually had a great time with them. I have nothing ill to say about them. But this one time we were on vacation. We all kind of went on vacation. And we would do this every year. And one of the wives is actually still friends with his baby mother. And she was like, I had to stop being friends with her because he told me I couldn't be friends with her no more. And I'm thinking like, why? Why can't you be friends with her? Like, if that's your friend, that's your friend. Like, he shouldn't dictate who you friends with. Like, my brother is not with his wife no more, but she's still my sister-in-law. Like, what are we talking about? And I guess he overheard the conversation. And I saw a part of him that I never seen before. So I just remember that conversation being very awkward because he like raised his voice and like all, and I was just, and up until this point, we had never argued. I never saw him upset. I've never seen him angry. None of that. So to see him upset about her talking about his child's mother, I was just like, I was thrown back a little bit like, whoa, like, where did this come from? And I just like kind of chugged it on like, oh, alcohol is involved. Like, it is what it is. But we're going to back this up tomorrow in the morning. But it also showed me that his friends were his friends. Not the other way around. His friends, I don't care how close I got to them, they stayed true and loyal to him, not me. So when she said that she had to stop being friends with her because he said that, he told her not to be friends, that told me right there that if me and him break up, you're not going to be on my side. You're going to be on his side. So knowing that that's how they were, I just, basically went around it accordingly. Like, okay, I can't change who I am because I'm always still going to be loving and caring and funny and just my genuine self. But I just know what you really are. So fast forward, I started noticing like it was a dark cloud around me. I didn't know. And I would talk to my friend about it and I'll be like, girl, like, I gotta sage the house and he used to hate the smell of sage. But I had to sage the house because I felt like something like a dark energy was like around my house. And I didn't know if it was just somebody who stepped in and left that energy there or what, but I had to get rid of it. I stopped taking pictures. I gained a whole bunch of weight. I wasn't myself. Like, I didn't know what it was. I looked drained. I was tired all the time. I just didn't know what it was. Now I'm sitting here self-conscious, feeling like, do my husband even want me because I gained weight? And like, that he doesn't touch me anymore. He doesn't tell me I'm beautiful. He doesn't do the things that he did when he first got with me. And it's so funny that how narcissists really are. And it's such a pattern with narcissists. And I didn't really realize a narcissist until after me and him were together. But he was in full narcissist mode at this point. So this is one bar that we would always frequent. And I knew the bartender. She was so sweet. Me and her had like a good relationship. Like she's a bartender. Every time I see her, we give each other a hug. And, we kind of fill each other in on like how our lives are going. But we would see each other maybe like once a week or whatever. And he would frequent there more like when I'm not available or if I'm at work or something. So he would go up there. But sometimes it would be me and him to go up to this bar together. So we're sitting up there at this bar. And for whatever reason, I just looked down at his hand. And he didn't have his wedding ring on. And I'm like, are you forgetting something? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm looked down at his hand and he was like, oh yeah, I was mowing the lawn and I took the ring off or whatever. And I'm just like, that's some bullshit. So I got up and I left. So Ricardo was there and his other friend was there. And so I just was so mad because I'm sitting like, who leaves their wedding ring at home because you mowed the lawn? Like, what are we talking about? And so when I did see him again, he was mad because I left. I stormed out. He said, well, you embarrassed me. You embarrassed me. And you were supposed to stick by my side and basically just be like, okay, you forgot your wig. Okay. Like, no. So I think that was the start of the downfall of our relationship, actually. And, I just think he probably didn't wear his wedding ring for a while. I just never noticed because he would always be gone with his friends on his motorcycle. I mean, like, I was one of them wives where I'm like, I'm not about to be calling you a million times and seeing where you at and doing this. And, like, I'm not about to do all of that. I don't have the energy to. So it is what it is. Like, I hope you come home just at a decent time, like have fun, blah, 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 blah. So my neighbor, me and her, and actually it was like a woman my age and her daughter. And me and the daughter was, cool too. She was in her 20s. We would go hang out or whatever. And one day she called me and she was like, hey, she called me Godmom. She was like, hey, Godmom, I got something to tell you. And I'm like, girl, like, what is it? She was like, I would just want to meet with you. And I was like, okay. And so one night she come over, pick me up. We just kind of like go to the store or whatever. And she like, man, I got something to tell you. And I'm like, girl, like, what can you tell me? Like, what's going on? Like, is it something about you? Like, it's okay, because I'm the one that always like help motivate people or whatever. And she's like, no, it's about you. And I'm like, about me? Like, okay, well, what's going on? She was like, well, I'm just scared to tell you. And I'm like, girl, I mean, it ain't like my husband's cheating on me. She was like, well, that's what I want to talk to you about. So she proceeds to tell me she went to this restaurant kind of close to our house. And when she walked in, she saw my husband like basically kissing on another woman at the restaurant. And I'm thinking like, no, that can't be what you saw. Like, she was like, I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. And I'm like, are you sure? She said he didn't have his wedding ring on either. And I was like, maybe, and I'm coming up with all the excuses in the world, okay? Not even acknowledging, like, this girl is telling me the truth. I'm over here making excuses up for this dumbass. So I'm like, I mean, I'm like shaking and like I'm like visibly like upset. And I had, when I saw him, I didn't even mention that to him. I didn't even go to him and tell him that, because first thing he would have been like is, "Who told you that?" He would have already known who it was. So I was just like, I'm gonna just keep that in my mental. I'm gonna just keep that right here for later. So one thing I will say, if you don't have it, you should get it. It's called Life 360, right? I had it on my phone for my daughter, and then like Dum Dum put it on his phone because my daughter would walk back and forth to school. And so Life 360, how it works is, first of all, it's an amazing app if you have kids, because it tracks them. It even tells you like how fast they are going, if they're in a car, if they're walking. Like, it's a very precise app. I love it, right? So we have this Life 360 on all of our phones. And yes, sometimes I'll get on there and be like, okay, where is he at? Because if he's on the motorcycle, he's not answering his phone. So I'm like, he said he'll be home in an hour. Let me just see real quick where he's at. And that's where the story gets so juicy.